Hey, what's up everybody, it's Chris F, and lately I've been coaching and giving a lot of people advice both off stream and on stream, and I've noticed a common habit that a lot of people have, especially players who are under 1650 like MR and below. So in today's video, we're going to talk about how to build a basic fundamental game plan that you can use with any character to help you start getting your wins faster. One of the most common issues I see from players who are under like 1650 or 1700 MR is that they have a semblance of what they want to do with their character, but they don't really have like a solid game plan. And if you're one of those players, what I want you to start thinking about is how you structure round one against an opponent you've never fought before. So this isn't your buddy at locals, this isn't like somebody in bracket who you've seen before, this is like you at home playing online against someone you've never fought before. I think round one is incredibly important, and everyone's going to have their own opinion about how you should structure round one and what you should do, but in my opinion, I think round one should be your data collection round, and you should be playing in a way that lets you get as much information about your opponent as you can. Okay, that's great. I'm sure a lot of people think about this, but how do we actually go about doing it? I'm going to give you a couple of tips that have helped me and have helped a lot of people that I've coached, and the first tip that I'm going to give you is to really focus on your first knockdown and know exactly what you want to do on your first knockdown. And my advice is to just go for a shimmy or a shimmy with a delayed button on your first knockdown. Why is it good to go for a shimmy on your first knockdown? Like I said, round one is your data collection round. And unfortunately in Street Fighter 6, if you're just going for Oki all the time, it's kind of hard to understand what your opponent is doing on defense. See what I just did there against Akuma with Ryu? I did basic set play. Every single Ryu in the world knows how to do this. You'll go light Kiktatsu, dash forward, light Shogeki, he's +2. Now, if I'm playing Ryu and I'm fighting an Akuma player and the Akuma blocked that, yeah, I'm +2, but I don't know what Akuma is doing on defense. I don't know if Akuma is holding down back. I don't know if he's doing delayed throw tech. And I don't know if he's doing like a delayed button like fuzzy jab or fuzzy medium punch. I don't know. All I know is that he's blocking. So I know that he's blocking on his first knockdown, like when he gets knocked down the first time, but I don't know what kind of blocking he's doing, which means the next time I get the same knockdown situation, I don't really have a full picture of what this person's doing. However, let's say I go for a shimmy. Alright, now I can see that the throw is coming out. Or if the opponent doesn't go for a throw and goes for something like, I don't know, a delayed crouching medium kick, which is actually kind of common to beat shimmies, I'll be able to walk backwards, block in time, and see that they're pushing a button. So that tells me, oh, okay, my opponent isn't just holding down back on wake up, they're actually pushing buttons. And I can see whether they're pushing attack buttons or whether they're pushing throw, like delayed throw. Or then if I get lucky and they decide to go for like a reversal, I'll block it and then I can get the punish. I think this is really good because unlike doing a melee attack, right, which doesn't give me much information, it just gives me maybe plus frames, doing a shimmy gives me a lot of information for my opponent. I can see exactly what they're doing and exactly how they're structuring their defense the first time they get knocked down. That information, plus how my opponent is playing neutral from the beginning of the round until I got my first knockdown, I can use their neutral playstyle plus their defensive choice on knockdown to kind of make an assumption about what kind of player they are. Are they really aggressive? Are they really defensive? Are they like an option selecty, like multi-layered defensive kind of person? Are they holding backwards when they get up? Are they jumping? Are they jumping backwards? Are they trying to avoid the throw that way? Are they mashing DP? All that information is going to come out if you shimmy. So that's the really strong part about this. Now, what's the weak part about this? Well, you give up your turn. So let's say your opponent wakes up with like crouching medium kick DRC. The crouching medium kick DRC, it's not going to hit you, but it's going to put you into a situation where you have to make a choice as the defender. So the downside is you give up your turn, and your opponent can like jump backwards, go back to neutral, so you're totally giving up your turn. If you don't want to give up your turn, I recommend doing a shimmy into a delayed button. This is kind of like the next best thing other than just shimmy. It's a good balance between getting data from your opponent, but also being able to kind of keep your turn. So let's say they go for that crouching, let's say they go just for like, I don't know, let's say they just block. Well, now I can keep my pressure, use the DRC, and apply a strike throw shimmy mix up there. Right? So now I'm not just completely giving up my turn. The nice thing about the delayed crouching medium punch or delayed crouching medium kick from you is that if they decide to go for something kind of YOLO, like a wake up DP, you're going to be able to block it. If they go for something like a wake up delayed throw, or even an immediate throw, in this case with Ryu, you'll be able to punish it. So that's the good thing about doing a delayed crouching medium punch or delayed crouching medium kick, because it gives you the best of both worlds of being able to see what they're doing on defense, but then also kind of option select your offense and keep your pressure if they decide to go for something kind of silly. So that's the first way I want you to structure round one. The second way I want you to structure round one is to have an idea of what you want to commit to the first time you get knocked down. So let's just record a really quick basic Akuma combo that every Akuma player in the world does. This. Round one, you have lots of health, so you can take as much risk as you want or as little risk as you want. Again, what I would recommend, similar to round one on your knockdown, I would recommend just blocking on wake up, because you're going to see how your opponent likes to attack the first time. So this Akuma player here hits me with a combo. I'm just going to get up and just block. Like I said, it's round one, you're at full health, your opponent has full drive but also 0 super meter in round one. Eating the throw is not that bad. And even if you decide to wake up with like a DP instead, you might be right, you might be wrong, but the amount of damage your opponent's going to be able to do in this situation isn't that high, because again, they don't have any super meter. It's the beginning of round one. But unfortunately, if you're just mashing DP all the time, you know that your opponent is attacking you, but you might not see what they're attacking with. It's a little bit hard to see, depending on what kind of Shoryuken or like what kind of reversal you have, that your opponent went for a throw animation there. If you're really on point and you're really focusing, you can see that Akuma actually went for a throw. But if you go for something like, I don't know, a jab, it's a little bit hard sometimes to differentiate between like a jab and a throw, so you don't really know exactly how they're structuring their offense on your first knockdown. So that's why I recommend going for just a block, and then if you just block, you're not really giving your opponent too much information either. All they know is that you're blocking. You haven't shown delayed throw tech, you haven't showed like fuzzy jump, you haven't shown fuzzy button, you haven't shown reversal. So all your opponent knows is that you're just chilling, you're blocking, and you're willing to take the throw. And that can actually be pretty stressful for your opponent, because they don't know what your defense is. You haven't shown many hands yet. All you've shown is, I'm blocking, I'm relaxing, I'm not going to take any big risk. Then later on in the set, if you think your opponent believes that and they think, okay, this guy's just blocking, I'm going to throw, well, that's when you can do your delayed throw tech. That's when you can backdash, try to beat them for going for it, catch them that way. Just showing different hands and, you know, changing up your defense is really important. But in my opinion, just waking up with a block is a really good idea in round one, because it gives your opponent the least amount of information possible while also not taking a big risk on defense. You know, throws are only, what, 1,200 damage. Out of all the things you can get hit by in round one, it's one of the least damaging things. Of course, there are throw loops and you might get put into the corner, and that's like a whole nother discussion altogether. But again, just taking that throw on the first knockdown is actually a pretty good idea. So the next tip I want to give you guys about structuring your game plan in round one is going to be how you use your drive meter. And drive meter is by far the most important resource you have in Street Fighter 6, even more important than your health. If you're winning the drive meter war, you're generally winning your matches overall. I see a lot of people spend way too much drive meter on things like really bad OD fireballs, or like constantly going for crouching medium kick drive rush. I want you to really think about how you're using your drive meter, and I want you to make it as effective as possible. So if you are fighting an opponent and you want to go for like crouching medium kick drive rush pressure, I would recommend at least always putting them in to some kind of strike throw shimmy mix up. I wouldn't just go for like drive rush throw. Go for a gapless string, shimmy your opponent, see how they're defending against your drive rush cancel pressure. And if you're a character that doesn't have a crouching medium kick drive rush, whatever, crouching medium punch, like everybody can do crouching medium punch, standing hard punch. Shimmy your opponent the first time. This is going to give you the most reward off of your first drive rush cancel in the game, not only in terms of damage, but also in terms of information. Remember, round one is your information gathering round. You don't necessarily need to start winning in round one. You don't necessarily need to win the round at all, as long as you're getting good information about your opponent. Then, once you've got that information, you know, you've got your first knockdown, you see how they defend, you got your first DRC, you shimmy them, you see how they defend against that. Now it's going to be near the middle or end of round one. You've got a bunch of information, and now you can use that to structure your offense and your defense in round two and maybe round three. Don't wake up with too many perfect parries to try to beat them on their knockdown, and then you get perfect parry throwed, and then you lose all your drive meter and your health. Just really reevaluate how and when you want to spend your drive meter. And again, structure it well. Don't waste it. Don't waste it in combos. Drive meter is the most effective thing that you have in this game. Don't throw it away. Okay, another tip I want to talk about in round 1. So a lot of people that I've coached with, I'll see them, they'll knock down their opponent, like something like in the corner, and they'll back off and they'll just stop their pressure. Even though like their opponent is like at low health or whatever. And I'll ask the person that I'm coaching, I'll say, why are you just stopping your pressure? And they say, well, I'm scared of the wake up DP. And I think a lot of people are scared about getting hit by wake up DP, but really in this game, there are some situations where you kind of want to get hit by the wake up DP, because getting hit by wake up DP in this game isn't that bad. Let's check how much damage I take if I get hit by this, okay? Okay, I take 1,760 damage. That's just slightly more than eating a throw, so it's not that bad. What happens here? My opponent spends 2 bars of their drive meter. If my opponent is under 3 bars, that can have huge effects later on in the round, or like, you know, as you're fighting this person. So eating that DP isn't the worst thing. I mean, you return to neutral, your opponent can't do anything against you really, as long as you back tech. Don't be afraid of the DP, because if they don't DP, you're giving up all your pressure. If you have low health and the DP is going to kill you, then yeah, you kind of have to make a choice and think a little bit harder about how you want to structure your offense. But if you have lots of health, especially round 1, let your opponent do that DP. Don't be scared of it, because giving up your pressure is worse than just being afraid of the DP constantly. And your opponent might not ever DP, so don't be afraid of an option your opponent hasn't shown yet. Make them respect your pressure. Show them that you're willing to go for your throw loops, you know, like this. Show them that you're willing to go for your frame traps, for your tick throws, and then make them want to DP. And then either keep on running your offense until they DP, or use that little like spider sense tingling that goes on in the back of your brain and be like, I think they're gonna DP here. And then that's when you just kind of stop and you punish them, and then you probably win the round. So yeah guys, this isn't too much of a long video. I wanted to keep this kind of short and simple. That's how I would structure your game plan. Let me guys know if you like what I said, or if you think there's anything I missed. Let me know in the comments what you thought. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, because it helps me as a content creator. But as always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.